Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to discuss how we can use this code execution vulnerability in order to completely hack into that web server using a command tool line. So we can run some commands in the web server. We are certain of that because we have found this code execution vulnerability. And I'm going to Google reverse shell commands. And this will give us a list. Okay, as you can see, there is a reverse shell cheat sheet in here, and we have a lot of results as well. And what these commands will do is to create a session back from the web server to our Kali machine. So there are commands in order to do that. And we have various options in this case as well. We can run these bash commands, Perl commands, Python commands, PHP commands in the web server and try to get a session back. And most of the time, you have to try more than one at a single pen testing, okay? Because they won't work every time. Because maybe this web server is not capable of running Ruby, maybe it is capable of running Java, maybe you have to work with PHP, maybe you have to work with Netcat. You cannot know, and you should try each one of these to have a session back in your Kali Linux. So let me open my Kali Linux, and I'm going to listen for incoming connections first. In fact, we have two options at this point. I'm going to go for MSF console, the Metasploit framework that we have used before, and I'm going to set my multi-handler and listen for incoming connections. But if it doesn't work out, later on I'm going to listen with Netcat as well. Netcat is a tool in order to listen for incoming connections and manage those connections very efficiently with very simple lines. Okay, so you know how to use Metasploitable framework. I'm going to use multi-handler module, and I'm going to set my payload to be Windows Meter Peter reverse HTTP or reverse TCP actually, because we're going to have this connection from TCP this time. And if I show options, then I have to set my L host and L port. So I'm going to set my L host to be 10.02.15, which is my own local IP, and I have L port as 444 here. I can leave it as that, but later on you have to use the same port in the shellcode as well. Let me actually change L port to 5050 so you can see it, you can understand it better when I use it in my shellcode. So right now we are ready, and I'm going to try and exploit this and listen for incoming connections. Okay, so I'm listening at TCP connection on port 5050, and let me first try this PHP. Okay, let me copy this PHP and let me go to my DVWA, and after stating an IP address, put a semicolon here, and with a space, let me paste the command that I have copied. So it will try to execute this PHP command on the web server. Of course, I have to change this IP address to 10.02.15 and this port to be 5050. Okay, and let me try and submit this. Let us see if we got a connection back. So we got a warning here. Okay, it says that unable to connect to 10.02.15, and we don't have anything in here, so it says that connection refused. So either I have written down something wrong or it doesn't work. It isn't important because we have so many options in here. Let me try this with Netcat, for instance, and see if this works. So Netcat has both the shell codes, and we can listen the incoming connections with Netcat as well, as I said before. But first let me try this with Netcat command, and I have to change the IP again, 10.02.15, and the port is 5050. So let me submit, and let me go back and see if we got the connection. And I believe this time we got the connection. Yeah, we have the meterpreter session opened in my Kali Linux. So let me try to interact with the session if it works. Let me try to run some commands. Let me run sessions L, and I don't have any active session. So even though we got the meterpreter session, it just has been closed. So I suggest we can try this with netcat. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this one, and I'm going to clear my screen, and I'm going to use netcat in order to listen for incoming connections. So NC for netcat, VV for verbose, and L for listening, and -P for specifying the port 5050. So right now this will listen any incoming connections from port 5050. And let me try with PHP one more time. We don't have to specifically call this with netcat as well. I'm going to try this with PHP one more time. Okay, so I'm going to change this IP to 10.02.15 and port to 5050. So 10.02.15, port is 5050, and I have to hit enter here because I need to be listening before sending the connection, and hit submit in here and come to see that if we got any connection back or not. So wait a couple of seconds before it got executes. Yeah, I believe now we have the session in here. So if I run ls, I can see the help index PHP and the source. So I'm definitely in the target machine. If I run pwd, I'm in dvwa vulnerable and exec folder. So this is a technique that you will be using a lot. Okay, if you're a pen tester, if you're a cybersecurity analyst, or if you're looking to get a good certification from OSCP or something else, you will come across this kind of practice when you deal with capture the flag contests as well. As you can see now, I hacked into the web server, and I can try to download something, upload something. I can try to delete the files, get the contents of these files. So you can check this, you can confirm this by going to pwd and try to find the same folder in the metasploitable machine as well, and try to compare the files and folders. But I believe we are definitely in the metasploitable machine. So you can confirm this on your own. You can run cd and ls to see the results. And as you can see, we got the same results here. So we managed to find a vulnerability, and we managed to take it further and got into the machine by hacking into with some reverse shell codes that we found online. So let's stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to discover some other vulnerabilities as well.